Welcome to the Just Barbarian Things podcast actual play of Call of Cthulhu 7th Edition's Masks of Nyarlathotep. Hello, spooky barbarians. Welcome to our Call of the Cthulhu campaign. That's hard to say right now because I drank 2 beers.
Hashtag I drink.
Yeah. So I'm not going to introduce characters yet because they haven't appeared in the game. But around our table, we do have Santiago,
Hello.
Richard,
Yeah.
Jesse,
Hey.
and Jessica.
Hello!
And of course, I am your keeper of arcane lore, Rainey. We'll be running this campaign. For those of you who are not patrons or who missed out on our character creation episode, we are playing in the pulp section of Call of Cthulhu, since this is most people's first expedition into the system. But Santiago is going to read the newspaper article that led their characters to heading to Lima, Peru.
Extra, extra. Read all about it. Search for ancient pyramid in Peru. Explorer plans expedition to discover site of lost civilization. Well, give me one of those, boy. I'll take one of those. Let's see here. Lima, January 12. Explorer Augustus Larkin is planning an expedition to the southern highlands of Peru, where he hopes to identify the site of a pyramid long forgotten by history. Following the discovery of a number, so it could be like 0, of gold artifacts in the region, Larkin believes that he has found evidence that will lead him to their source. He is currently in Lima, planning the expedition, and is recruiting companions and possible backers. Interesting. Why, you don't say. What a fine pile of beans.
So,
I can't. Between his voices and your faces, like...
So that happened. Wait, so what's the old boy's name?
Augustus
Larkin. I wonder if he's related to Sir David Larkin.
It's Larkins with an S, though.
Yeah, I know.
But it does make me accidentally call Augustus Larkins a lot.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah, so some person named Augustus Larkin is recruiting backers and expedition folk to look for an ancient pyramid in Peru, which, due to some artifacts he has already uncovered, he believes he has the location for. And each of you have your own reason for heading in that direction. Some of you are there because you have bosses interested in the potential profit that can be made. Some of you are there for personal interest in history or adventure or, helping the heathens or whatever it is. But whatever it is, all of you have contacted him to join up in some way or another. And so each of you receive a very similar telegram. That is the sound. And it says, "Thank you for joining the expedition. Stop. Please join me in Lima. Stop. Have booked you a room at Hotel Mari. Stop. Meet 18 March at 7 p.m. at Bar Cordano, Giron Ancash 202, Distrito de Lima. Stop. Augustus Larkin." So that's your next clue. We can pass that around so people can take a look.
This is crazy because I feel like this might be what an actual telegram.
Gram is the record, graph is the technology.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Nerd. Thanks, nerd. Yeah, because given our generation when we're born or whatever, I've never seen a fucking telegram. So this is cool. I think this might be what it actually may have looked like. Would you care to? I don't know if you. How do you spell
Nyarlathotep.
Nyarlathotep.
N.
Uh-huh.
Y.
Okay.
A-R.
Oh, A-R. Nyar. Okay. Nyar. Yeah.
L. Yeah, ATH.
Okay.
OTEP.
OTEP. Nyarlathotep. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Not that you know who that is at all in
Well,
game.
I was like, did you already
I
say
don't-
that? Did you say something?
No. I just,
I'm just a
PK.
dirty meta gamer. Blah, 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 blah.
no.
And I was like, God damn, I'm already
have to take
behind.
notes, and I have to write what the game that we're playing is at the
Yeah,
top of
mine
my
says-
notes.
Peru,
Well,
which is PERU, in case you're not sure.
that's way too general. I have
It
to
is
take detailed
The
notes.
prologue of your adventure. But yeah, the telegram is helpful because it tells you where you're staying, where you're meeting, and when. So if you want that to be part of your notes, you can. Otherwise, you will have your shared pile of clues in the middle, which you are always allowed to reference, as long as your characters are able to do so.
What year is it again?
It is 1921.
Oh, that's right.
It's just a fun noise to make.
Jessica, the official telegraph machine of the game.
1921.
It's like complete with typos and everything.
Actually, what is do we know, like what's the date?
You will be meeting on the 18th of March, 1921.
18 March 1921. My dearest Jessica.
Did you know that one of your handouts when we get into the real campaign is a calendar because we have to track days? Oh, it's so amazing.
Wow.
I have long sojourned along a passenger aboard the steamship Intrepid as I traverse along
Why are you Stanley from The Office?
the Pacific
I love
Ocean.
Stanley. I relate to him on so many levels.
Yeah, me too. Every day I get up too early, driving traffic too long, drop my daughter off at a private school that costs too much, and then go to a job that makes too little.
Fair.
But on pretzel day, well, I like pretzel day.
Oh, pretzel day sounds awesome.
Yeah, especially because there's 700 flavors of pretzel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how Michael went all the way with his pretzel and passed out. After, doing his whole thing. It's funny.
True.
There is travel involved for all of you because none of you are from Peru, which means that you have time to prepare. So, if there's something you believe you might have researched or looked into or purchased to prepare for your trip, feel free to let me know that now. We can do some preliminary rolls if you like. Otherwise, I can start with your arrival in Lima. Yes.
So, Q is quite the outdoorsman, but he has been spending all of his time in the Klondike region of the Yukon. So he is all geared up for cold weather survival outdoors.
Sure.
But he knows that you have to prepare for the environment into which you're going. So I feel like he would research what the climate is like in Peru, where he's going, and at the particular elevation and what type of changes and stuff like that he'd be looking for and all that, and he would gear up for that environment prior to
So,
heading out.
what skill would you like to roll to determine what knowledge you might have about this location?
Well, I
Sounds-
think
makes sense.
that
I'll be good with it. But
I think that, so he has a specialty in boreal forest of survival, but I think just not specialty, just survival would make sense because it's all about survival in the wild.
sure, roll your survival.
Okay.
Remember, it's meat or below.
Yes.
Price is right.
All right. 53. That is a normal success.
Okay. So you know the basics, what you can find at any library or encyclopedia about Peru. You know that it is, that Lima in particular is going to be a relatively coastal city, and Peru itself is on the west coast of South America. Right now, at this time, it'd be called the Republic of Peru, but Peru is fine. It's the third largest country in the subcontinent. There's about 5 million people there. And its northern point touches the equator, but it is known mostly for being having the Andes Mountains there.
Right.
So depending on where you are, it can be quite cold and dry. It's a very Colorado level place. It's actually one of the locations, besides the much contested Hawaii, that we're trying to build good telescopes because the elevation's really high and it's really clear. I mean, not at the time of the game, but currently just science knowledge for you.
Thanks, nerd.
Fuck you. You were asking specifically for natural stuff, so I'm not going to give you a lot of history.
Right. This is all about, like, what sort of gear do you bring in terms of traversing terrain and also clothing? What sort of,
Yeah.
you know...
So you do know that going
Boots
into the southern
shirts.
hemisphere as you are, being there in March puts you there during the summer. It's unless you go into the mountains, it will be warm and muggy. So in the lowland areas, it's going to be pretty warm, maybe even uncomfortably so for you. If you go into the mountainous parts of Peru, it's going to be cold and dry.
Okay.
So it's a bigger country than most Westerners think, so it has a pretty wide range, but Lima specifically will be warm, and
Alright.
it will be urban.
Okay.
But you
So-
haven't gotten a lot of information from Augustus Larkin about where you're going from Lima. You just know it's Peru somewhere.
All right. I'd like to purchase, if I can swing it. I'd like to do two things. One, I'd like to purchase appropriate clothes for not only the... And I already have my, I want to say, mountaineering gear in terms of clothes and
Yeah.
climbing and all of that. I
Yeah.
already have that. I just need to buy a set of coastal and jungle appropriate attire if that's where we're going to be adventuring. So I need to add that to my list of gear. And the second thing I'd like to do in preparation is shave my big, bulky, like, mountain man beard that I normally have for hanging out in the Yukon.
Right.
Shave that off, but you have to leave, of course, the stout, manly mustache, because that's what you do at the time.
Sure.
Is you sport a thick soup strainer.
Yeah, so it would definitely be easy enough for you to pick up some kind of appropriate linen suiting that would work for in town or for travel in warmer areas.
Some linen shirts
yeah.
and some khaki pants and maybe some thinner socks and
Yeah,
boots.
that's fine.
And what
And if you
have
want
you.
to put warm weather clothing on your stuff, if you don't have it already, that's
Oh,
fine
I
too.
have it already. And mountaineering gear and so on.
And so
And so forth, etc. Yours truly, warm regards.
then all your stuff is packed up in various crates and chests and leather bladder bags and whatnot. And you're on your steamer or whatever heading to Lima. Anyone else want to do anything before the trip?
I don't think so. Like, I'm thinking I'll have somebody, like, some contact there with the church that I would
Yeah,
kind of hook up
that's
with.
fair enough. Fair enough. Anyone? No? All right. So, you are going to Lima. You get there early enough that you have time to settle in at your hotel, if you'd like. But the first thing you notice when you land in Lima is that it's surprisingly metropolitan and European in feel. This is a very Western style city. And so every once in a while you do see people in more traditional clothing. These are usually the folk that are traveling into town to do trade and things like that. But the residents of Lima are dressed in European style, and let's see here. The other thing that you'd notice walking around is the surprising amount of Asian immigrants that are in Peru at the time. There are a lot of local Chinese and Japanese run shops that you pass by. Some of them are more like local goods and things like that, but others are specifically like Asian markets and that sort of thing, catering to the other immigrants who are there. So here are what Lima would be looking like, and I'll go ahead and put on some Lima-y noises for you.
Very cosmopolitan.
So one of the things I really like about Call of Cthulhu games is they tend to do their research. So y'all are staying at the Hotel Mori, which is in Lima. You already have prepaid reservations in your names that have been set up by your host, Augustus Larkin. The hotel is located in the center of the city, and the amenities are clean and generally considered decent. The main thing that the Hotel Mori is known for is their bar and dining room, which is quite fancy for the time. So here's your actual hotel in 1920.
Oh. I misspelled that. Okay.
I spelled it right.
Hooray!
I guessed.
All right, and then I will give you all a map that includes the Lima district, and it has some locations on there like the hospital, the museum, the racetrack, and your hotel and the bar that you're supposed to meet at later, just so you have kind of relative directions for where things are.
I spelled it correctly because that's how it's spelled in the telegram. Or telegram, rather. So you said it's known for its bar and...
The banquet hall, the dining room, basically. But the rooms are clean and good for basic amenities. They're not like super fancy though. So looking at the map when you have a chance to, just to give you an idea of distances, it should take about 10 minutes to walk from your hotel to the bar Cordana. You have a couple of hours to a few hours to kill depending on when you arrived. Again, it'll only take about 10 minutes to get to where you need to meet up. Is there anything that you would want to do in town or that you want to make sure to have with you or not have with you before you head to the meeting?
Yeah, I need to check into my room and stow all of my gear and belongings and such.
Yeah, and you have reservations, so if you had things packed, expedition style, they would be taken to your hotel by quarters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to, you check in, you freshen up, and you make sure and
Get your nice concealable weapons. Just in case.
just in case.
Very nice, very nice.
Nah, I don't need to go over every little thing that I'm carrying, I don't think.
No, as
Other
long as
than-
you have an idea. I mean, you're probably not carrying a rifle or a shotgun
Right,
or something
yeah,
like
no.
that in Lima. Just saying.
No. I feel like I would hold one of my brass knuckles and hem and haw a little bit and then and put it in the pocket. And then of course I would always have my Bowie knife with me, given that it is my prized possession.
Specialty. All right. Anyone else have anything specific they want to do before we get into your first sort of area? So, we don't know your characters that well yet, but based on what you do know about them, who do you think would arrive first?
I'm pretty punctual.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think Steven would be pretty on point, if not early.
Right.
I'd be more on point. No, just yeah. Yeah,
You
I'm
go
fine.
whenever God tells you to be there.
Are you
Sure.
wearing your habit or are you wearing your traveling clothes?
No, I think I'd still have my traveling clothes on.
Okay.
We'll stick with that for the time being.
Alright. So, Stephen, you arrive at the bar Cordano at about the same time as another young, obviously Western woman in basic traveling clothes. She also seems to be looking around like she's expecting someone. This is the bar Cordano. It's a bar / restaurant. It's tastefully appointed. It has wood paneling, wood fixtures, and a tiled floor. Right, and as the two of you walk in, since you're early birds, you would note that it seems obvious the staff has been told to expect Westerners, because you are immediately greeted by someone who can speak English, and they tell you that they have been expecting you, and please, 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 and they walk you past the bar to a table. There are already a few people seated at the table. There is a white male, a kind of tan-skinned male, and a dark-skinned male at the table. You're going to be very in the minority with this one being the lady at the table.
Lady!
All right. Later on, the two of you would arrive, or at your own timing. You know, you're used to living in the wilderness. I don't even know if you worry about time so much. Do you have a watch?
When he notices the time when he's not like
Yeah.
stoned.
Yeah, when you come down from whatever pre-divination you were working on.
We gotta go.
Eyes are all bloodshot.
I do
Yeah.
not have
I
a
would've been
pocket
here earlier,
watch.
but I got lost.
Alright, I will be describing the people that you see at the table once you're out there, but as you sit down, this is a good time for you to tell the rest of the players what they would note about you. What do you look like? What are your kind of basic, obvious mannerisms? So we'll just start with something and go around clockwise.
Now that we've arrived and sat at the table, okay. L. Quentin Peabottom IV, or Q to his acquaintances. He tries not to make a big deal of his whole name because it sounds very... Yes, of course, man, splendid, yes. Like, he doesn't like to advertise the fact that he is the scion of a wealthy family. But he is your quintessential 1920s Klondike Gold Rush manly man, very outdoorsy, tall and swole for the time, doing many squat thrusts and hip raises and such, with Turkish get-ups and what have you. Oh yes, but he's dressed for the climate in his khaki pants and linen shirt, not necessarily buttoned up all the way because it's really hot here compared to where he's used to running around. And he has a giant fuck-off Bowie knife tucked into his belt, and
Doesn't try to hide it.
yeah, no. It's
There it
it's
is,
right
guys.
there. But he seems very open and friendly. He's somewhat boisterous and engaging socially. He'll talk to anyone and look anyone in the eye. He seems almost oblivious to how eye contact can be seen as a threat. He sees it more as a invitation to dialogue, is his demeanor in a urban setting like this. Quick to laugh, ready smile, and has a sort of joie de vivre, so to say. Bonjour!
Oh no.
That's really cool. All right, Rich. Who you be? What you look like?
Who I be?
I'd be Stephen.
Oh,
Stephen Kelly.
fine.
Irish family.
Irish name.
Moved to
Everyone.
Australia.
Uh-huh.
You know, they got some money. Not a lot, and they're probably not like, Mr. Scion here of some family fortune. Enough to not be one of the peasants.
Plebeians.
But, he knows his backstory and ran off to join the war. And it's been working in England ever since.
Alright, so
Wears a nice wool suit.
okay, so wool even in this climate because
Well,
the way
'cause
you look
that's-
is important as well.
That is, the time.
Yeah,
That's what most men would have worn.
it is fashionable. Yes.
in his circles, and he's not gonna let a little bit discomfort like heat make
What's
him-
heat stroke?
Yeah, what's heat stroke?
And
Yeah,
his
like he doesn't
lighter-
need water. He just drinks some whiskey when he's thirsty and
Fair.
smokes a cigarette when he can't breathe.
Yeah.
There's lighter weights of wool as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
it's a wool suit. It's not like a wool like your wool hunting.
You're like in your
socks.
pea coat. Yeah. Pea coat. Alright. So
But
well muscled in a nice suit.
yeah, well muscle. He's not a really big guy, but he definitely carries himself like he knows what he's doing.
What sort of hat do you wear?
Oh, what are they called? A cheese cutter.
There
No,
you go.
driving cap.
A driving cap. Okay.
What's a cheese cutter?
A cheese.
I got distracted.
When
for a
Jesse
second.
was in Europe, a
Oh.
man he met described the driving hat as a cheese cutter.
Oh.
At a bed and breakfast in the UK. It was pretty cool.
And that's the way, like,
What a cheese cutter.
the way Jesse described him saying it has stuck with me.
That's funny.
But, yeah, his weapons aren't visible. It's not like this guy. He's not showing them.
Right.
It's not a weapon. It's a talisman.
Alright, whatever.
Your knife? Oh, okay.
I mean, you could use it
If he was to take off his coat, he'd have his pistol
to
in
kill
the shoulder
someone.
holster and
Okay.
I mean, maybe.
2 brass knuckles in his pockets.
I mean,
Just ready to
Ready to throw down if you need
down if you needed to.
Alright.
hell yeah. Brass knuckles for the win.
But he's kind of, the old war vet, kind of someone that's always got to see the entrance. He positions himself in a way that he can see the main ingress of where people might be coming from.
Alright. Jesse.
Let's see. Oh yeah, that's fun. It's Isaac Cloud. He's from the Black Hills from the Dakota Territory, so he's got a little mixed heritage. Back when it was still a territory, this is pre-statehood. So I guess it's now a state at this point.
By 1921, the Dakota? Yeah, okay. Yes, sir.
I thought you meant right now at first. I was like, damn, Jesse, I thought you were real smart.
Why do you always
explain things to me?
This is why Jessica plays a hunter.
No reason.
No, I feel really bad about that because I feel like I really contribute to that whole stereotype. Anyways. Who didn't dismiss their pet? Fucking asshole.
Moving on.
What the hell is that coming over the horizon? Oh shit, it's your pet having pulled the whole instance.
My bad. I'm gonna feign death. Sorry, guys.
Jessica,
the
stop
big deal?
backing up. Stop backing up. Or, okay, there you go. Just pull the other room. There you go.
What's the problem, guys? Just feign death. Wait, you don't have that?
You know him.
Shit, my bad.
Sucks for you
Yeah,
guys.
you should look into getting it. It's great.
Really comes in handy.
Really
This
comes
is the fuck up button.
Alright.
Sorry.
Sorry.
So yeah, Isaac looks he looks travel worn, and you're not sure if he ever doesn't look travel worn.
Disheveled.
Yeah,
He's well traveled.
yeah, rocking the an undyed linen shirt with khaki pants, so appropriately wrinkled. And he wears a Panama hat And yeah, that's about it. He's got a leather shoulder sack that he carries with him.
Very good, very good.
Nice purse. It's a satchel.
Jessica.
So my character, the nun, she's not super nunny right now because she's in her traveling casual clothes.
Mm-hmm.
But she's just, she's small, like she's petite. And she's just really, like, subdued. Like, she's not like, she's 26, which I think is really old at that time for a single
Spinster.
lady. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
real spinstery. But, she's short, but she's not, like, she doesn't seem to shy away from anybody. Like, she's not intimidated by Mr. Giant Bowie Knife over here or anything. Like, she has that kind of, like, stern little schoolmarm kind of tight-lipped, on-time, punctual, business is business.
To be
Carries a
fair,
yardstick.
Yeah, just in case.
he was not intimidating. He's not the kind of guy to sit at the table like,
Like-
hunched over, and like, oh, meh. He's more like one leg stretched out, kicking back, like, yeah, like, all right. He's chilled because he's just very
I know, right?
fortunate and blessed. He's gone through life so far pretty much in this cloud of likability and good luck, and I mean,
When
It's
he
fair.
walks up to a lady and gotta,
Yeah,
Yeah.
captain's up on her.
right. Walk up to the lady sitting at the bar and put one booted foot up on it, elbow on the other one. How you doing? Kind of
Oh,
situation.
no.
Because I mean, he is.
we weren't supposed to roll it ourselves, but
So how,
Shit.
You guys want to get that now?
so how big is El Quentin, like physically?
Yeah, what's your size?
His size is 70, so he's a strapping dude, but
So-
not like huge.
Wait,
I
what's
don't-
that translate to? Like size 70?
So it's out of
Larger than normal
100.
per
So
average?
Yeah.
yes,
Oh, okay.
He's pretty big.
it's fairly above average. He's probably 6 foot.
I mean, you have to
6'1".
figure though, like for most, I think for most women, like it doesn't. Even if you've got the big smile on your face, like a big guy, you're always kind of like keeping an eye on.
Right. It's like, I don't know if you've ever been around you.
I'm always around.
But
me.
but a big dude is just by virtue of being
Yeah.
big, carries some amount of
Yeah.
intimidation there.
In
And it's
White
not so much
Wolf,
that you're
they
threatening;
call
it's
it
just
presence.
yeah.
There you go.
No, it is. It's like
Yeah.
you when you walk into a room,
So there is
you gotta
that.
take note.
I would have a big personality.
Yeah.
Kind of fills up the room and stuff like that, but that's cool. I
if I
get it.
walk with you to my car,
Oh right, yeah. From work. Oh, you're going there? Can I walk with you? Why? What? Just go where you want. What's the what? Why would you
walk
even
where you please.
go wherever you
You
feel?
can't do that.
This is your basic scene at your table that you're walking into. So these are the folk already there.
Aw.
Nice.
You know, to
Oh,
take
yeah,
your
I
hat
feel
off
like-
inside.
Yeah, take your hat off.
Animals.
It's kind of savage. I feel
And
like
we're ju-
everyone like smoked back then. Like there's a doctor in a neonatal ward, like with a cigarette dangling from his mouth. Like
Ash is just.
is
they
that
didn't know it was bad.
it was marketed as
insurance
like
on it.
good for you and whatnot, like right?
Expand your lungs.
Alright. So the man seated in the middle at the end of the table is the one that gestures for each of you to sit as you arrive. And he's also the one that's going to introduce everyone because this is Augustus Larkin. And I will give you a specific Augustin Larkin page because you'll probably want to have some sort of shared notes and things like that. I know Rich loves writing on handouts, so that's what this guy's for.
I got a nice
Um,
little notebook now.
I know, however you like to do it, but you'll
Yeah.
have it if you need it.
Some of us just choose to ignore them, and that's
And he
cool.
says,
I can't. This is too nice and pretty. Have you seen my handwriting?
"It's lovely."
I have to like. No, it's not. It's like chicken scratches.
Oh, that's
I'll have to
great.
write in this later because this is pretty nice.
I mean, you
Type
work with
it up and
doctors.
glue it
You've
in.
seen chicken scratch.
It's true.
Sorry.
no, it's fine. So he says, Augustus Larkin, it's truly a pleasure to have you all on this expedition. His accent sounds like some sort of British dialect, but doesn't really sound English to you, especially Stephen. And he's very light-skinned, very light-haired, light-eyed, so light blue eyes. He's a little, one of your little Nordy boys. He's got dark circles under his eyes, like he's been staring at maps more than sleeping lately, so probably looks a little bit like Isaac.
I was just gonna say.
He's probably in his mid-30s by your estimate, and he wears a loose linen suit and expensive smelling cologne.
Looks like an actor, but I can't like place him. Almost like a
Steve Buscemi.
almost like a thin, sickly Timothy Olyphant.
Huh.
He looks like a little bit like Mads Mikkelsen, like
Or,
if Steve
yeah, or
Buscemi had a
Mads.
love child.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That checks out.
Right. And then he gestures to the man to the side of him, who is kind of tan-skinned, dark-haired. He says, "This is my personal aide, Mendoza." And this is a gaunt man on his right with pronounced cheekbones and deep-set, piercing blue eyes. He has medium-length hair. It's rather unkempt, but his clothes are neat and clean, if not a bit worn.
Mendoza?
Mendoza, yes. And he nods at you all in greeting. He doesn't say anything.
As he sits there with his arms crossed at the table,
Trying to look all tough.
Yeah.
trying to look hard.
Knock you out.
Gesturing
Change your
to
life.
his left, he says, "And this is Jesse Hughes, a folklorist from New York City, a new member of the expedition like yourselves. He just got in today. He's actually staying in the same hotel." And so he gestures to the man on his left.
He's what to him? Sorry?
He is a folklorist from New York who has joined the expedition, named Jesse Hughes. And Jesse, he's a black man in a smart suit, and he looks up at you and says, "It's truly a pleasure to meet you all." His suit is tweed, he's wearing a fedora, and he's holding a pipe, and he uses it to gesture to each of you as he's greeting you.
It's kind of fun.
As Santi would do if he was holding a pipe. That's his
Yeah.
pipe move.
If I ever smoked a pipe, I would definitely point at a motherfucker with it. Point.
Now,
Point.
Jesse Hughes, when he speaks to you all, kind of happy, like welcoming sort of dude, but you note that the feeling at the table is a little tense otherwise.
Basically Tristan.
Hey guys, what's going on? What's up?
Man,
How y'all
school's
doing?
busy.
Man, school's so busy. Also, my wife's cool and everything's awesome. Let's go raise some stuff, guys. Come on. Just super upbeat.
Let me play a game while you walk behind me.
Alright. If anyone would like to make a psychology roll, you may do so. Oh, Santi, you made the survival roll earlier. Don't forget to
Yes.
check your survival box so that you can level that up later.
Holy shit.
Okay.
Oh, psychology. I'm looking at psychoanalysis.
Now,
like,
are we doing a check mark or is it like a
However
one
you wanna
slash
mark
and then
it.
a double slash?
No, it's just
or-
marked so you know which ones to check later.
Okay, so we don't have to
oh, dang.
bear down for
Mm-hmm.
later marks.
If it's marked,
Got
it's
it.
marked.
Checked
you
or
can't
it's not.
double XP something.
Got
But what if
a
you crit fail it?
regular success.
No, if it's checked, it's checked. Regular's fine. I think, yeah, all we need is a regular success on this one. And you can check it if you got a success.
I don't know what the hell I got because I can't remember what the rolling is.
Psychology.
All right, so what'd you roll?
I rolled a 51.
All right, and what's your skill?
55.
Yeah, so that's a success because it's under your skill.
What are the
That's
little numbers
base.
on the side?
That would be if it's a hard success
Oh, yeah,
or
base.
like an extreme success.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
I
if
figured
it's
you
under
knew.
Yeah.
27 or whatever the high number
Right.
is, that's
Hard.
a hard success.
Mhm.
And then under the other one is.
I think
an
I
extreme
took
success.
it.
Got it. Okay. So I just had a regular
Oh, because
success.
yours is
Yes.
Gauging
mean
like.
mugging.
And you
I'm
can
gonna
check
read your
your
body
psychology
language
as
and-
well.
Okay.
So anyone who succeeded may check your psychology if you haven't already.
Oh, rats.
You detect,
Check it before you
and
wreck
maybe
it.
you can just tell from the picture they gave you as well, there is some sort of either animosity or suspicion specifically between Mendoza and Hughes. Although Larkin's seems
We're
pretty.
used to it.
Teacher's favorite pet and new guy that just came in.
Yeah, it's something along those lines for sure. And so Augustus continues and he says, this is a working dinner, so please order whatever you like. Don't worry about costs. This place is known for its seafood. I think the escabeche is quite good. It's a sort of hot, sweet, and sour fish dish.
Don't worry about price, you say. You get 10 bottles of whiskey.
So yeah, this bar is known for its selection of imported whiskeys and scotches. So you can definitely have some
Two
drinks.
rows to go.
The food and drink here are
Is
both
this your
quite
shopping list?
I'd like to order this, please. Sir, this is a shopping list.
Yes, I know. Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Like 12 eggs unbroken in a carton.
All right, so you all have a chance to order whatever food and drink you would like. They are both quite pleasant, and Larkin speaks to you throughout the dinner in a way that makes it clear he's giving you time to eat. That there's no rush on talking about anything during dinner. And then as you're sort of finishing up,
Maisie gets on her bed.
and patrons sit at the bar stools nearby.
Their creaky leather bar
Yeah,
stools.
squeak on the leather upholstered seats. Larkin starts to speak up again, and he says, again, thank you all so much for coming. I hope your travel to Lima was without issue. We're looking to move on this expedition quite quickly. So I don't want you to get too comfortable in town. We'll be heading out of here very shortly. My plan is to head into the highlands, locate the site of the lost pyramid, and recover some artifacts to share with the world. I want you to have no doubt that although the mission is one of discovery and historical importance, obviously, signs point to anyone involved being rewarded greatly. And what we've seen so far, trust me, it seems to show that there is a lot of value in this site.
I wonder what I would have ordered. Probably steak.
The local cocktail of choice, actually founded at the hotel that you're staying at, is the Pismo Sour. It is the local beverage, well, really created by a Westerner, but it's a very popular drink in Lima.
Oh, I probably would have tried one of those.
Sure. So he says, well, I was able to purchase a few interesting items from an alpaca farmer near Puño. He claims that his grandfather recovered them from the tunnels beneath a pyramid in the mountains, and this is where a lot of our information came from. The grandfather never went back to the site. He said he had some superstitious fear about the place, but he told his family there were other treasures there as well in those tunnels, and he dabs the sweat from his brow with a fine handkerchief. And he says, well, the farmer didn't have a precise location for the pyramid. He did give me enough information that, combined with my research, I was able to narrow it down to a rather specific area in the mountains.
I feel like at this point, Q would put his silverware down on the plate, and pick up his napkin from his lap, and dab the corners of his mouth, impeccable manners, and tell Augustus, that sounds good, Augie. When do we leave?
That's a wonderful question. I was going to give you tomorrow to pick up any supplies that you wanted to. Look around Lima, since for many of you it's likely a quite exotic locale, and then we'd head out the next day. I've hired trucks to take us into the mountains.
Are we leaving from here?
From Lima, yes. I mean, obviously I'm not staying at the same hotel as you are, but we'll set up a meeting point to load onto the trucks.
Ah, I see. Location to be determined. All right.
Yes. So anyone who wants to make another psychology check to see what you think about his story, you may do so. keep in mind in the future, I probably won't prompt you as much to make checks. Just know you can do it just like D&D, where you're like, do I think he's telling the truth? That's a psychology check. Alright.
Rolled a 5.
Dang.
Is that like a extreme success for you?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else get a success?
I just got a regular success.
Regular success?
Extreme
I
success.
got nothing.
You're not paying attention, you're drinking. You're fine.
Foot sore.
Real toasty.
For the two of you, you get the idea that his tale about like the farmer is not necessarily a lie, but it's not the full story.
The grandfather?
Yeah, that he got this from a farmer and his grandfather saw the pyramid. It's like, it seems a little too easy,
Okay.
is really what it is. But he does seem 100% to believe that there is a pyramid and that he knows the location. That part seems to be solid.
Okay. So because the last time we did, I had a check.
Yeah.
Do you check only once a time, like
That's
a
it.
turn?
Yeah, until
Okay.
we level up.
Okay.
And the main reason for that, if you want to think about it, as we get further into the game, and I'll ask you things like, well, what skill do you want to use for that?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of relying on a few skills that you already have checks in the box for, it kind of encourages you to try out a few other skills as well. Because you can only check them once, and then we level them up at the level up phase.
Right.
And then once they're leveled, then they can be checked again.
Okay.
Alright, so as the dishes are being cleared, he takes out some items that are wrapped in cloth. It seemed like he was waiting for the table to be a bit cleaner. And he says, here are two of the items that we were able to purchase from the farmer. One is a pendant. It looks like a man holding two like rods or stabs. And it's embellished with rectangular shapes. The other is a golden cup that's carved in geometrical patterns and circles, and it's inlaid with turquoise. If any of you have archaeology, you may roll to identify what you might know about these items.
So, like it says, it's like default 1% archaeology. So can you roll and
You
level
can
that
roll and see if you get it.
See if you get a
up? One.
See if you get a 1. You have a 1% chance.
I did not get
Okay.
a 1.
Yeah, you're like, those are pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty close
Got
though.
a success.
God, I'm
Regular
all-
success?
Regular success.
Okay.
Nice.
So, you note immediately that these two pieces are from completely different cultures and time periods. The first one, the pendant of the man holding the rods, resembles artifacts that you're familiar with from Tiwanaku, which is a dig near the border of Peru and Bolivia. So it's probably from about the 5th century. And the second one looks like an Incan item, probably from the 15th century.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it doesn't mean he's lying, but if these were both found at the same site, it would mean that site had been used across different eras and peoples. But they are definitely not from the same period.
So there was a pendant of a man holding,
Like two rods or
Rods.
stabs of some sort.
and the other one was.
A golden cup inlaid
Golden
with
cup.
turquoise. All right, and after you're able to examine the items, which he does not prevent you from doing in any way, he kind of puts them away. The waiter brings over your after dinner drinks, your amarettos and such, and your coffees if you're into an evening espresso or that sort of thing. And he says, but enough of my rambling. I'm sure you may have questions of your own.
Are those the type of treasures that we're going to be looking for?
We do know from what the farmer told us of his grandfather's stories that there are more like these, some that are even larger, and that the grandfather was not easily able to move out in his one trip there. Again, he didn't return with local stories and such. I'm sure you're familiar with pyramids in all cultures. There are tales of curses and various things that don't harm the archaeological spirit. So, but we do believe there are many more things along these lines, particularly in the gold variety.
Mr. Archaeologist,
What?
anthropologist, whatever your name.
Identify the site.
No questions?
Not yet.
Okay. So,
Not yet.
Not
That
yet
actually
until the. Why the fuck did we come here?
we're here for the gold. That's why we're here.
Some of you, yeah.
So, cool.
All right.
Gold.
Says well. Like I said, I was hoping to leave in a couple of days, but I'll send a message to your hotel when I have the plans sort of nailed down. Feel free to pick up whatever supplies you like, have a look around town. The four of you and Mr. Hughes here are all staying at the Hotel Mori, so please feel free to socialize as you wish.
All right. We have sort of a. I'd like to see if I can ascertain. I guess. Maybe psychology-wise. I guess. Just to see if I can determine if Mr. Hughes is being set as a watchdog or similar. If he's there, or if he's more just of a liaison sort of
Sure.
tour guide type of deal. Right. I rolled a 1.
Dang.
Oh.
Oh, shit.
So, psychology-wise, what you'll know is he's speaking to and about Jesse Hughes very similarly to the way he speaks about the rest of you, as someone who's joined the expedition. You'll note that he's listening. He will ask a couple of questions once you guys have had a chance to do so. But from the way he's talking, he's also trying to understand more about what you guys are doing here. But you do note that Larkin's man Mendoza is kind of glaring at Jesse Hughes. He doesn't seem to trust him.
And just to clarify, we don't know the name of the pyramid we're looking for, do we?
No.
Okay. So what if you want to go to the library and do research and that kind of thing? How do you? Can I just be like, all right, peace, I'm going to the library?
You can. Or there are many locations you could go to. There is a university in town as well where you'd be able to use their library, but you can also use public libraries and things like that too.
Okay.
Yep.
But you can leave the group and go.
Yeah, you can do what you want.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Mr. Hughes turns to Augustus Larkin and he says, well, I'd like to make sure I'm familiar with all the local tales and such for where we're going. And obviously, Peru is a very large country. Where exactly is this site that we're heading to? And he says, oh, well, it's up in the highlands near Lake Titicaca, because every game must reference Titicaca.
That's not true. Yep.
It's important. He says it's a few days' journey from Puno, so we'll head up there first in the trucks and then traverse the rest of the way with pack animals. He says, that will give me plenty of basis for starting to look into things that may be of interest in our travels. I'll likely spend at least one of the days that we're here doing some research, and I have a few contacts in town if any of you would like to join me.
I think perhaps I will join you.
Delighted. All right, any other questions before we wrap up the meeting? All right, so Augustus says, thank you all again. I must admit I'm a bit under the weather, so I need to make it an early night. But remember, I will send you a message. We'll likely be meeting early in the morning, a couple of days from now, to load up onto the trucks and head out to Puno. But until then, please enjoy your stay in Lima. And if you need anything, you can ask the man at your front desk at the hotel to send a message to me. He'll know where to address it.
Augustus, if you're feeling under the weather, I can perhaps provide a healthful tonic or two, if you feel the need.
My man Mendoza has set me up with some items that he was able to procure locally. I'm sure I'll be set by tomorrow, but I will definitely let you know if I'm still feeling unwell.
Well, they are quite restorative and, well, if you need them.
Full of cocaine.
They'll put a little pep in your step.
Little pep.
And he says, interesting. Well, I'm staying at the Hotel España. If, you have any interest in checking in with the front desk there. If you want to leave anything for me, that's fine. All right. So, if anyone has medicine or spot hidden that they'd like to use to evaluate Augustus Larkin's condition, you may do so.
Spot hidden, you say?
You may use either spot hidden or medicine, although I will say medicine will provide a little bit more detail about health-related things, but spot hidden will give you extra details if you don't have medicine.
I got a hard success.
Nice.
Wait, what's the not extreme? Hard.
Yeah, hard.
Yeah. Hard. A hard success.
See, you're already getting it.
I know.
Nice. My spot
My
hidden.
medicine.
Your
You
borrowed
did.
dice are failing you.
They're letting me down.
Oh no. Did Rich touch him?
You've got rich on your dice. My spot hidden yielded an extreme success.
Dang.
Okay.
Mine's in medicine, not spot hidden.
Okay, yeah. Good to know. Rich, no? Okay. So with the spot hidden, you would notice that as the evening has gone on, Larkin has gotten paler and sweatier over the course of the meeting. His hands are shaking a little bit. That's what you notice with your spot hidden. Jessica, your character would notice with your hard-ass knowledge of medicine that these are symptoms you would associate with an opiate withdrawal.
Nice. Just
Hook you up.
just to be clear, so if you get is it only if you get a success that you check the box?
If you get any type of success or a critical failure, you can check the box.
Okay.
So you would check your medicine as well.
Delicious. Thank
Yes.
you.
No problem. And it's onto your spot hidden. Your favorite skill you can check.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Alright, so as Augustus Larkin and his man Mendoza are getting up to leave, Jesse Hughes turns to the rest of you and says, well, looks like we're the whole expedition based on that meeting, so why don't we get to know each other a bit better? Maybe a few drinks, first round's on me.
Sounds good, Jesse. Do we call you Jesse, by the way?
Oh yeah, it's more than fine, and he heads over towards the bar.
Well, that won't be confusing at all. Fantastic. Jesse, goddammit, I've been wanting to say this for a long time. I'm gonna kick your ass right up around your shoulders. Oh, I'm talking to the character, not you. It's cool. Chill out.
And so, as
Chill out, dog.
the door closes behind Augustus Larkin and Mendoza, he turns back towards the rest of you. He says, now, how much of that do you actually believe? Do you trust him?
So wait, Mendoza is saying this?
No,
He
this is
didn't-
Jesse Hughes. Mendoza left with Larkin.
Right, okay, just checking. And he came back with having ordered or told him.
He went to the bar expecting you to all follow from the door.
Oh, okay, yeah, so we're at the bar now.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
So they walked across the room and
Right.
not eating anymore.
No, it's good to know because I cut quite a roguish figure leaning against a bar with one elbow and one foot maybe on the brass rail and so on. Just gotta play it up, I mean, you know.
Uh-huh. So yeah, he turns to you all and asks if you actually trust what he's saying, what Larkin has been saying to you.
seems like a pretty straight shooter. I think that he purchased what he purchased, and that's what he said. I can't vouch for its authenticity, but I figured that's why we're heading out there.
There's just...
Well, he's lying about the farm. Just not sure what he's lying about.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't think he went out there and handed him a wad of cash for these things. You know what I mean? Look, my real name is Jackson Elias. And
Excuse me as I write that in my
One moment.
Pardon me while I take out my notebook.
And I believe that Larkin may be leading us into danger.
Elias, like Elia with an S?
Yeah, so Elias. One of the most famous names in Call of Cthulhu.
Is it?
There's a podcast of like the guys who wrote the new edition, basically, called The Friends of Jackson Elias, because he's like from the OG edition of Cthulhu. Yeah.
Oh, so not just Elias, but Jackson Elias
Yeah.
is a famous name.
Yeah, this is an old school original Nyarlathotep character.
The dude himself.
Ooh.
Oh.
If anyone has either education or occult is a checkable skill. Education is not, but if you can roll it if it's better for you if you want to. You can see if you've heard this name before.
Education. Roll. I got a... Oh, shit. Okay. So what's the first smaller
Hard
number?
success.
Hard success.
Okay.
Me too.
Hardly.
18.
Dang.
92.
Who's my Powerpuff number?
Oh.
And you can spend luck to bring that number down?
So yes, getting into
Is that
that,
a-
you can spend luck point for point to
Oh.
bring down the roll. So if you're close, it can be worth it. If you're not, it gets a little iffier.
Probably not worth 14 points.
It's up to you. We do regain luck more often than we level up skills, so it's
Oh,
up
really?
to you if you want to spend it. But if you ever do a group luck roll, it's based on whoever has the lowest luck in the party.
I see. Sure, why not?
All
I will
right.
spend some
Yeah,
luck.
it's a game, right? Make it
Can't
happen.
take it with you.
All right, which means that you succeed. All right, for those of you who had success, you have heard this name before. Jackson Elias has written books on various cults, historical and current, in places such as the Amazon Basin, Mexico, Central America, and even the witches of England. So he's kind of like looking at all of you, kind of looking down the line where you're sitting at the bar. And he says, I've been researching for a new book about secret societies in Peru. And in particular, I spent some time traveling around that area near Lake Titicaca, looking for evidence of what may...
Sorry, I'm too immature to get past that.
It just makes me think of Animaniacs, because they have Lake Titicaca, we like to say your name. Because it's great. Looking for evidence of what I think may be a centuries-old death cult. But since then, I've been digging into this expedition more specifically, and I've turned up a few interesting bits of information, if you're interested.
Go on. Pardon me. Indubitably.
Well, previously, Larkin tried to convince locals in Puno to explore the pyramid with him. This isn't the first time he's tried to put this expedition together. But he wasn't able to find anyone willing to go in who was a local. Since then, he's turned to finding foreigners like ourselves to join the expedition. Now, one of my friends here is Professor Nemesio Sanchez. He's at the National University of San Marcos right here in Lima. He was interested in joining the expedition because this is his area of expertise, is these local archaeological finds. But Larkin refused to allow him to join.
Why?
That I'm not sure, but I think it would be worth talking to the professor if you were interested in doing so. I've actually have a meeting set up with him tomorrow if you wanted to join me.
Oh, I'd be delighted to join you.
What else are we gonna do?
Now, what I do know
beer.
is Professor Sanchez believes he has some old documents and some artifacts even related to this whole thing. Like I said, I'm going to meet with him about that tomorrow because I don't know much more than that. Now, when I was in Puños, now some people there warned me. They said that Mr. De Mendoza is what they call a karasiri. That's a local name for something like a monster or vampire. Some thing that like sucks the fat out of people. It's the story that goes with it.
How do I find one of these?
I would like to marry one. Now, I'm not out of my mind. I understand such monsters likely don't exist, but this is a story that's been around since the time of the conquistadors. It's sets pretty heavy with the people here. But I do believe that both Larkin and De Mendoza are probably involved in this cult that I'm researching. I'm not sure how or how it relates to this pyramid, but I suspect that's the focus of whatever the cult's up to.
And who is De Mendoza?
Mendoza is Larkin's left-hand man.
Oh, okay.
I was hearing that as like De Mendoza.
Yeah,
instead
so
of
he
Mendoza.
is referring to him as De Mendoza, but he was introduced as Mendoza, so
Oh.
that's fair.
Clearly, I didn't hear that wrong then. Can I do like some kind of a check to see if I'm familiar with the Karasiri?
You may.
I don't know.
So what skill would you like to use for that?
Well, I would think either because I have demon lore
Mm-hmm.
or a
That's a
cult.
good one. Yeah, I think either of those would work if you want to pick one that suits you.
I'll do demon lore.
Okay, sounds good.
Wow, not so much. Yeah, no, I was way off.
Okay. You have done a little bit of research in preparing to come to this area, but that's not a word that you're familiar with as far as translating it into what you would understand from your training.
Okay.
Yeah. It's probably a very local dialect of something.
Let's make a note to look that up in the library later.
Nope, totally fair.
That's what I do.
No, that was a good call though. It's a bad roll. Sometimes it happens. All right. Anyway, like I said, I'd love to introduce you all to Professor Sanchez at the Museo, so you can do whatever research you like and make your own conclusions. I'm not here to tell you this is what's going on. I'd like to see what you think, because like I said, this is what I'm interested in finding out. But I do believe that things are not what they seem right now. I'm meeting him tomorrow late in the morning. If that's of interest, we're all at the same hotel. I'd love to have more minds and eyes on all of these things. And he goes and he pays the tab for the drinks that have been ordered. But he's still there, so up to you what you want to do.
I'd like to know why he gave a fake name to Alan Arkin.
Oh,
Sorry, that's just what it makes me think of.
I mean, Larkin probably is aware of people who are predominant in the occult.
But if he's that famous, like, would he not just know who he is anyways?
Yeah, so
No, pictures weren't as big in
I guess. That makes sense.
because I did want to hide my identity. It seems that people who actually know about what's going on with this pyramid don't get invited to the expedition. So I gave him a fake name and for better or worse, being a young black man doesn't make me all that suspicious on the smart side for these white boys.
How unfortunately fair. So does the professor know him as Jesse or as Jackson?
No, Professor Sanchez does know who I am. He was one of my first contacts. When I found out he wasn't allowed on the expedition, that really piqued my interest.
Interesting. Fair.
All right, tomorrow, or as they say here, mañana. It hurts my heart to say it that way, but I have to.
Thanks for the drinks.
I actually want to get a read on Sonny's character.
All right, may do so.
Being that we don't actually know each other.
Sure. Are you trying to hide
So I'm
anything
gonna
about
do some-
yourself? Okay.
Psychology, just to
Sure.
try
Nope.
to
Yeah.
judge his body language and fuck, god damn it.
I don't have. I don't have a lot of guile. Pretty much an open book. I mean, it meshes with the I see most mundane crises as inconveniences, and it's calm and unflappable. And I tend to act on instinct, not only when necessary, but just in general.
I'm gonna spend some luck
Oh.
because I want this to pass.
You're like,
There you
please,
go.
please give me this luck, please.
And it's only 6.
Okay, no, that's
I'm not
nice.
like Jesse spending all of it.
I have a lot.
Very lucky.
Yeah, you were a lucky character to start, so
Still am.
yeah.
But I'm mostly reading him for like earnestness, especially now. Just with my line of work, like you're gonna go meet someone with someone else. You might not trust the person you're working for, but we don't know if he trusts us.
Right.
So I want to get my read on Sonny to see if he is someone that I can express my current concern with and then forge a plan for the next day.
Okay. So based on your luck spend, you would get an accurate read, which, according to Santi about his character, not trying to hide anything, he's very earnest and straightforward, seems to be a straight shooter.
Upper management written all
Yeah.
over me.
Was hired on really as a wilderness guide more than anything. And you probably would have gotten that from table conversation during dinner. So yeah, definitely seems very sort of on the level sort of guy. Fair to say, Santi?
Mm-hmm.
You got distracted by the wind.
Yeah. He's like,
It's a spooky game, okay?
We're not even spooky yet.
yeah, there's just a
We're just
dude
talking
coming
in the
down
bar.
off of opioids. That's the
2 of them.
Yeah, is it obvious that is it Isaac?
Isaac.
Isaac, is it obvious that he's a little bugged out or tripping or has previously been?
Is
tripping some balls?
that a normal part of your character's functionality?
Yeah, he looks. This isn't an unfamiliar state.
Okay. So why don't you roll your medicine or
Okay.
pharmacology, whichever you like.
He just looks sickly to me.
Yeah. Looks like a longer.
Yeah, looks like a longer.
Longer.
Looks a little sallow.
I
Kid.
didn't succeed.
Yeah.
Ew.
No, you're so like
You look
now
so
distracted
sad.
by this. Hook into the type of thing that you really think
Well,
you've
have
been
a
sent
beer.
here for.
Right.
Right? Like death cults.
Yeah.
Fat sucking vampire demons. You're like, oh, that's why God sent me. here."
Right.
So you're not really paying attention to the medical
junkie.
states of the junkie next to you.
Fair.
All right. Well, that's actually good. Stopping point for first episode. But like I said, we can jump right into the next one. But thank you, all barbarians, chinny microphone, for listening to our sweet adventure. This has been episode 1 of our Call of Cthulhu campaign. Too much beer. I can't say all the things.
Rubber baby buggy
We
bumpers.
just spit all over DM screen.
Wavy inflatable arm flailing too, man.
As we all know, first episodes are all set up. So obviously nothing too much has happened yet. but hopefully you're starting to get a feel for the characters and a little bit about what they're looking at in this prologue. I've been your keeper, Rainy, and as always, you can check the links for where to find me, but I'm mostly on Twitter, @BarbarianRainy.
I'm Santiago. My links will, as always, be right under Rainy's links.
In the doobly doobs.
In the doobly-doo.
I'm Richard. I don't have a social media presence.
Yeah, Jessica doesn't either. She always says, and I'm Jessica.
I play World of Warcraft. Too much.
Find us on Classic.
Find us on
There you go.
Classic.
Roll Alliance so we can kill
Roll
you.
Alliance so we can fuck your day up.
Yeah.
And I'm Jesse. You can find me farming nudes in Warcraft. Classic.
Farming what?
Noobs.
I think you said farming nudes, and I was like,
Nudes.
wait, you're not on Moonguard? Like, what the fuck?
Get on your role-playing server and farm
Yeah,
some
right?
nudes.
PvP for
Gold-
noobs.
The Coco Dancer Guild.
Oh, God. I'm Jessica. Yes. Still.
You should make a Twitter handle that's just Jessica or something like that.
Thank you, Barbarians, for listening to our first session. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this group plays through this campaign as they get more comfortable with the system, and for most of them with being recorded as well. Until next time, Barbarians, spend your rage and your sanity wisely.